morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips. Bleh. Yes, sorry, Nurgle Matthew. Luca is only on Reaper once a week. He does his own stuff the rest of the week. So sadly, I am your person for the morning. I'm Anne, and so here I am, your host, with me, your host, Anne, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, queen of everything. I'm just going to keep upgrading you, Quindy. And then, then there's some Justin and John sprinkled in along the edges, kind of like a little, when you're decorating cookies, right? It's just a sprinkle of John and a sprinkle of Justin. Something like that. But yeah. Only one Luca a week. Only one Luca is allowed a week. And then you can catch him on his own channel. Do you know what that is, Quindy? Could you pop up Luca's channel? Is it twitch.tv/miniaturesden? Probably. I'm assuming. Missed Imp with the 36 months. Oh my god. Triple sub-anniversary, triple sub-anniversary, triple sub-anniversary. Happy triple sub-anniversary. There you are. Yes, there we go. Yes, twitch.tv/miniaturesden. So if you want more Luca, please go over and give him a follow. He streams quite a bit, as I recall, although I'm not sure these days. I know that he was talking about, I think, being tired a little while ago, but all of us go through that from time to time where we're just tired of it. So, you can find him when he is on. You can find him there, except for Wednesdays where he is here. Alrighty. Yay. Awesome. That said, Merry Christmas! Merry Catmas! Alrighty. So we used Ancient Oak, which is a beautiful bones color. 9412, I believe, is the item number, to base coat our Christmas tree, which gives it that blue spruce kind of undertone. Yes, Merry Catmas. And then let's get this guy in focus. Focusing. And then we used, I think, some brown liner it was either brown liner or walnut to put these dark spaces in between the boughs. Because if you go out and look at any evergreen tree, although I don't have any immediately within my vision right here, you will see that the spaces between them where the boughs stick out are very, very dark. So you should use a very dark paint, not even darker than the Ancient Oak. I would use liners or something similarly dark. Or you could mix a dark green with a liner and get something in between if you really want your shadows to be kind of a dark green. So there you go. We don't have green liner anymore, so that's not a thing. Alrighty. Let's tree today. I kind of feel like we should go with that blue spruce vibe, but I want to do a little bit. So I'm going to mix. I want Naga green is a really good coverage green, so I like to use that. Tanzia Jade here is a very translucent Pathfinder paint, but it's got that blue tone to it. So I kind of want to mix these two to kind of give this a little better coverage and to shift it a little warmer and to shift this colder to see what kind of green I can get. I'll try that. Chances are we're going to be doing underpainting on this and painting in white first, and I'll show you guys a comparison of just trying to put the color over the top or as opposed to underpainting it. Alrighty. So I think I'm going to do, because Tanzia Jade is so translucent and it's a little bit weaker, I'm going to do 2 drops of Naga to 4 drops of Tanzia Jade. And chances are this green is going to turn out pretty darn translucent, guys. Which is why underpainting is your friend. A lot of colors are naturally translucent. It's just a function of the pigment that goes into them. You'll see this in any paint line. Some paint lines use a goopier base, and that tends to give a little bit of extra coverage. But all that coverage is coming from the base, not the pigment. Master Series wants to use a more fluid base so that you don't have to work as hard to get it to a consistency that you need it for washes, layering, glazing, and all that. And that means that sometimes our colors are a little more translucent. The way to deal with that, if you're going over, is either to start with them or to over white, or to use underpainting over if you're going over dark base. So let's see what color this makes. Hey, Shadow Raven, 27 months. Impressive. Hey, Roger. Thank you, Shadow Raven, for the resub. Over 2 years you've been subjected to me. Amazing. Or at least to Reaper. All right, so actually this gives me a really nice color. it's showing up a lot more yellow on my screen, but it actually is closer, a little bit closer to the Tianxia Jade. So I kind of like it. It's definitely just a touch more blue. It's a touch cooler, and that's what I wanted. So I'm going to go with that. The other way to deal with a color that is very transparent is to add a tiny touch of white to it. And if I added 1 drop of white to this, it would really bleach it out. Even adding a tiny touch of white is going to bleach it out. But I'm going to do just a little bit, if I can get my white to cooperate. A tiny touch of white. And you'd be amazed, but even this can make a difference in coverage. And it's going to also impact this color pretty heavily. But not crazy talk. It's still green. It's still in the family that we had. It's a little bit lighter, but it also has better coverage. So I'm going to play with this a little bit and see what I can get out of it. Have a few things cluttering up my table here. One second while I clear them off. I've tried to make a habit of clearing off my table after the stream, but sometimes I am lax. There. All right. Not so much, Shadow Raven. I mean, let's face it, I'm the one who's been talking the most. They have to deal with a lot more of me than you. You've just seized the opportunity to interject yourself into the discussion. But we appreciate that. Much as you like to be self-deprecating, I don't believe in self-deprecation, and so I am going to fight that, man. I'm going to fight it. All right. Nope. Oh, by the way, actually, I can do this at the same time. So I want to touch up. I've got a little bit of ancient oak that didn't quite take there. If you are looking for a high coverage green that is good for trees and does layer up pretty well over a dark color, Wilderness is your option. Probably Wilderness followed by Naga. These two bones colors are for greens, for brighter greens, they're higher coverage. So you could do ancient oak to Wilderness to Naga green for a traditional green. Important is relative. I'm just like the background soundtrack to y'all's talk. I know it. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Like, if you were in a Cthulhu cult, then talking about madness and insanity would actually be pretty valuable, I would think. Like I said, it's all relative, right? Right? When you say, it sounds like you're saying tasty. I would hope you would not eat the kid, Anna. Sounds like you said that in chat. It sounds like you were going to end with, cookies. Kiddas and cookies are good things, both of them. But one should be consumed and the other should not. The other is far too bitey and clawy to be consumed. All right, just wanted to touch up a little bit where my ancient oak was fighting me there. Oh, good. Yeah, it's 12 days of Reaper. So, if y'all want to go over and get yourself some cool Christmas free minis, you should. I keep thinking about it, and then I'm like, they don't have the Christmas night and Christmas Eve this year. Those are the ones I kind of wanted to paint, so I'm just going to not, probably. Just going to pop some white in here. I do want to underpaint, I think, but I'm going to do a comparison first. So you have several options when you're trying to make a transparent color cover over dark. One, you can just put white down and put the color down at its general translucent full strength. Two, you can add white to it as we already did here, but I'll also mix up a version where we did not. So we'll do a lot of comparisons. 1, 2. Excellent. And then 1 drop of water. When you're dealing with a very translucent paint, then I probably would just go with a 5 to 1, 5 to 1 or 4 to 1. Any more, it's just going to fall completely to pieces. You just want it to be a little more fluid. So as I look at these, adding that white really didn't change the color too much. I lost a little bit of vibrancy when I compare this to that, but it's really not that much. So we'll see what we can do here. Okie dokie. Man, my brush is wearing fast. I must have been abusing it. All right. Taking the regular paint over the dark boughs. And I think we'll do different sections. So let's do a section here and a section here. So let's just try to go regular paint over the dark boughs. So I'm going to get closer here. And we are going to be using just the very translucent color first. Which actually, thanks to the Naga green, it does actually pop out a little bit more than I was giving it credit for. Doing a couple of passes on this thing right here. So I don't know if I told you guys, but David has an old family friend who does stained glass, and today he is delivering us a stained glass window for above our front door, which is kind of like not the super placement because it doesn't ever get like sunlight through it, but it'll look pretty. There really wasn't another good place to put one. I'll show you guys in a second. So, okay, so that's several coats to get that even up that high. Let's see here. Looking for, there we go. Let's see here. There we go. It's hard to see all the colors, but there's some colors in this middle pane. There's all sorts of streaky colored glass, as you can see, and then solid colors around the outside. So he uses mostly reclaimed glass, and then cuts it to shape new windows. Yeah, so that'll be installed above our door. Kind of cool. I've always wanted a stained glass window. Yeah, it's his hobby. It's what he does for a hobby. His name is also David. It's the other David. There's many Davids in David's life, unfortunately. All right, so that was just a straight up. Now up here, let's actually put the one that I mixed white into. It's the same thing. It's 1 drop of water. But remember, we added a little bit of white. So just with that little touch of white, look at the difference here. This took like, I put 3 coats on this. I put 1 coat on that. And the color is really not, the color's really not that different. Like, if you look at them, you can see that this one is lighter, but they are pretty close. And I just put a little tiny bit of white on my brush and mixed it in, and we've gotten, it's standing out much better, even when it's dry now. and it's darkened, it's still standing out. And if I put a second coat on it, that's going to stand out even more. I gave Puppy one of Kiri's old bones to play with in her crate, and she is playing with it. So if you hear thumping noises, that's what it is. No. Now, the next one I do is the one that's going to make it look like it has snow on the branches, because that's going to be the underpainting with white. So that one was just straight up with no white in the mix. That one has some white mixed into our green. Now we'll do this section here. Nice, Celeblum. Or Celeblum. I'm not sure if you're using the hard C or the soft C, but whatever you are, thank you for buying our paint. I made it. It's my paint line. I created it long ago. Actually, for 17 years. And then I left to be with my guy, who I am now married to, out on the West Coast. But for 17 years, I created Reaper Master Series and then mixed every batch by hand. So yeah, remember that they don't need as much thinning as the other paints you're used to, and hopefully you enjoy the finish. It's not a dead matte and it's not glossy. Curtico with your Prime sub for 40 months. Hard C, Kella. Okay, Kellablum. Got it. Oh, good. Excellent. Yeah, it also mixes well with other paints. I mix it personally, even though I created it and I use mostly Master Series. I also enjoy the Scale 75 Scale Color Artist tube paints, and I mix them with the MSP a lot. So they actually work well with other paints too. All right, so let's do an underpainting now. I did my usual 2-to-1 pure white, so we do a little bit of pure white underpainting. It's not a super stark pure white because I thinned it, but it still is going to give us a little purchase. Now, see, this is where if you want to put little bits of, like, as if there's little bits of snow, you would just leave this white. I'm going to do this and down here. You could definitely build up stipples of white to make it look more like a dusting of actual snow if you wanted to do that. Oh yeah, I have I use their metallics now. These guys. These were okay, so good. You're gonna be really used. You're gonna probably like Master Series then, Kellablum. Yeah, I did a test, actually, side-by-side test of silver metallics, and this was the brightest of all the different ones that I tried. It was the brightest shine. So now I use it as a finisher. When I'm doing shaded metallics, this will be my highest shine point when I want to really have the light catch a particular place on the metallics. So yeah, I did a PDF for my Patreon. I've got a Patreon, and that was last month. I was really interested to do it because I do a lot of NMM on here because this is like, you know, I paint 28mm models on here, so I tend to feel that NMM is better for the smaller surfaces, but I do a bit of metallics, and I really love using metallics on big models and busts. So it was a cool opportunity to really put a head-to-head comparison out there of different brands. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it catches the light really well. So we've done some underpainting here, so you can kind of see now dark there and then how much the white shows up, right? Yeah, I come from a 2D art background as well. I went to art school long ago. I learned more about painting for miniatures than I ever learned in art school, and that's the sad thing about my art school. I still hold it against it slightly. I'm still like, darn you, art school! How could I learn so much more from painting miniatures? Now if I went back to canvas, I think I would own it. But anyway, so I'm going to take the color that we did here that didn't really show up. I'm going to put that over my white now. And giving it a white backdrop, as it were, a white paper behind it, it's going to make it show up really well. So depending on how subtle or in your face you want your tree boughs to be, you can use any of these techniques. All right, so let's get close. Oh, it's just a hobby side gig. Yeah. That's cool. I did, but then in the day I was in college, it was all like ad. If you went into art, you're pretty much going into advertising, and that's a really high pressure environment, which I've never done well in. So I ended up kind of lateraling out and just working in banking and finance for a while, which is what my dad was into. And then I got hired. In the meantime, I was doing a side gig painting miniatures. And eventually that led to me getting hired by Reaper as their staff painter, and they asked me to design Reaper Master Series, and there we go. So that's where it all came from. So yeah, I ended up in art anyway. I ended up actually using my art background is in my actual career, but not in advertising. So yeah, win. So yeah, here we go. So this was straight up, guys. This was with that color with a little bit of white added, and you can see that it does show up a little better. And then if you add the white underneath and you go over it, that's where it's really going to come up. Yes. Yeah, now I'm Kelly, I Calbla, my main source of income now is my Patreon, because when I left to move out to be with my David, I didn't go. Reaper kept me on part-time pretty much to do this stream. So I have part-time job with Reaper now. My 20-year anniversary of being with Reaper is coming up in April. 20 years with one company. And then, otherwise it's my Patreon. So yeah, I do freelance now mostly. I enjoy it. Thank you, Quindy, for the dump. That's all the stuff I do. I have some stuff up on YouTube. I did a Fundamentals of Mini Painting series just so I could kind of refer new people to the hobby too. I still need to do 3 videos for that, and it's just I got totally slammed. I got a new puppy in August, and like she's destroyed my life for 4 months. So it's been hard. It's been hard. I'm slowly dragging myself back into actual scheduling. But they really turn your life upside down because they need so much attention and training. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Also, on YouTube, if you go to Reaper Miniatures YouTube, we also have all the episodes of this show, and gosh, we're over 500. We're like, it's insane. Yeah, the Kiki is. Let's see. I don't have any new pictures, but for those who have not seen Kiki, 1 second, let me get her. All photos. Where's the cute? Come here, cute. Where's my cute? There's my cute. There's my cute. Boop. There's my cute. She's in the other room right now. So that's my girl. She is a little demon. She is slowly becoming less demonic, but it's a hard road. It's a hard road. So yeah. Yep, the Kiki. Oh, there she is. Yeah, she's, I don't know how much fluff she's going to get. We'll see. Her coat could be really long or not, but let me see if I've got another one. Yeah, not really another good one. That was the best one recently. But she is a cutie, but she is a bit of a fiend. And when she was, hold on. When she was a little baby, she looked like that. That was her it was 1 week after I brought her home. You have a furry great white shark. Yeah, 13 weeks. I'm sorry, missed him. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, she's a cutie. She's already 50 pounds, which is insane. She's a Shiloh Shepherd, so she's a Shiloh Shepherd mixed with some other stuff, and they get big. So we'll see. I might have an 80-pound dog on my hands eventually. Oh yeah, my Discord there. If you go to the cute animals, Miss Dimp has has put up pictures of her great white corgi shark. He is cute, but oh, I can see how he'd be a devil. So yeah, I'm sorry that you're in that mode. Like, I remember when Kiki was that bitey. All my clothes are torn. Like, there came a point when I just stopped buying new clothes, and I was like, she'd ripped so many of them, and I was like, I need new ones. And I'm like, I'm just not going to bother. I'm going to wear the ripped ones until she's out of this phase, and then I'm going to replace my clothes. 616 episodes of Reaper Pro Tips, guys. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, if you're on my Patreon, you can go to the Cute Animals channel on my Discord and see the cute corgi pictures. I'm sure Miss Dim could be persuaded to put some on the Reaper Discord as well if she has not already. But yeah, you have all my feels. Kiki's like getting there. She's right now is jumping up on the counter, like jumping up on the counter, jumping up on people. She's slowly stopping with the mouthing, although she still does it if she gets really excited. Inara, we did make some. We ripped out our back hedges and put non-toxic. We had oleander back there, and it's poisonous to animals. So I'm so glad we did that too, because Kiki picks up everything in her mouth. Like, we would have had a sick puppy if we hadn't replaced those suckers. So we replaced those, and that was really, really the big thing we did. Otherwise, we really enjoy the house. There's like, I wish we had a skylight in like the kitchen because we could use a little more light in there, or just maybe putting in a proper light that really lights up the area. But we decided not to go ahead and like do that. Your coworker, the rhinoceros, oh dear. But yeah, so other than that, we decided to live in the house for a little while. And then go back and look at what we might want to change with a bit more experience living in the house. Does that make sense? And so now we've got the stained glass window going in today, which was just a surprise gift pretty much. All right, so if we look at all of these, the one that's probably, the two that are the easiest is going to be this one or this one. And if we want more contrast, then underpainting in white is probably the way to go. Oh, it hiccuped. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, everyone is different, Agent Marvel. Like, you know, when we had my past Shilohs, Leo was a real softie. And when you did the thing, if he mouthed you and you made the yip noise, he would stop immediately. Kiki, that just makes her more excited. So, like, she will just double her efforts to bite you. Lovely Twitch. Thanks. Thanks, Twitch. So yeah, every animal, like every time. One of the dog trainers whose stuff I read actually put it pretty well. She's like, we get another dog of a certain breed that we had before, or we get another cat that's a lot like what we had before. We kind of assume that, the same stuff is going to work. But in reality, if your grade school teacher like kept comparing you to your older sister and asking why you weren't exactly like her, it would annoy the crap out of you, wouldn't it? So she's like, there's no reason that we should think dogs are any different, or cats, right? Just because you had a Persian before and your Persian acted like X doesn't mean that your new Persian is going to act at all like that. And for us to expect that is kind of silly. So yeah, Kiki has been different from any other of my Shilohs that I've had. And she, in many ways, she's definitely a Shiloh Shepherd, but she is different for sure. Yeah. So again, you could do a little bit of white stippling if you wanted to do a little bit of a snow type effect. You could also just use snow flocking and put a little bit just on the edges of these. Of course, having a cat on here is probably shaking most of the snow off the branches. Dragon cats, I suspect, make large impacts on Christmas trees. And I'm mostly using a stippling stroke. If I see like fronds that are definitely sticking out where I've got something where it's a line where I could definitely put follow the sculpted line or needle pattern there, then I do. Otherwise, I tend to do stippling Because all of these, if you went down, like if we could get really, really close to this, and if it was actually a real tree, we would see that each of these clumps is actually made up of many, many little needles, right? So that's where I'm like thinking the fine stippling kind of suggests that a little bit of that texture, right? Yeah, talking cat to them, huh? With Kiki, I have to go, and this is going to be so funny trying to like teach David's parents this when they're here for Christmas. Oh my god. But it would be it's far better than us going to their house where there is not a structure in place for Kiki. But it's like we have to essentially turn to stone for Kiki. If she gets over aroused, you just have to like put your arms up like this and make yourself absolutely no expression at all, and just freeze. And that's her. It's the only thing that gets through. When you do that, she's like, oh, and then she sits again. But anything else, like even pushing her down with a hand, that is time to play, and play means biting. So, I mean, at least, Miss Dimp, your dog is short. Kiki's big enough now that she can put her paws on my chest. But yeah, I'm getting to the point where it's just reflex to turn to stone. On the other hand, you probably have immense ankle biting. Plus, corgis tend to be ankle nippers anyway, if I recall. Am I correct about that? So I'll go and put the color on after I get some more of this stippling done. We're going to get our Christmas tree this weekend. We go hunt up a real one. Gonna get a lot of Christmas stuff done this weekend. Hopefully. David wants to put a tree up. That'll be an adventure with Kiki. I'm probably gonna put a... So it kind of looks cool just actually with the white stippling, doesn't it? Okay. Not so much. Yeah, so corgis, just like with every breed of dog, some are different. Not surprising. I've got Kiki in a new routine now. This is for this week. For the first time, I'm like, all right, dog, prove to me that you're well behaved. She doesn't like to be in her crate at all. She's just, it's not a refuge for her. She's a real confident dog. She just does not need it. So she really wants to be out of her crate. So lately, after we take our walk, she gets to be out all the way till 1:30 to play with her toys. But she has to be good because I'm like usually I make my lunch and eat it and then I do my writing. And so she has to be good. But she's been, I've done it 2 days now. And she has not bothered me when I'm eating. And she has let me, for the most part, she's let me write without too many disruptions. She does come over to get pettins and to try to eat my hands every once in a while, but you know, it's a puppy. And she's 5 months, so she'll be 6 months right after Christmas. So I think this is actually really good progress. I mean, if I can have my puppy out and she kind of self-entertains and is more or less reliable, she's definitely housebroken at this point. Solidly so. So yeah, that's pretty good progress considering what a dingo she was, you know, a month ago. She has her puppy class again this weekend. So that's bringing out the patterns and textures of the trees. The nice thing about the white underpainting is that it does let you bring out the patterns, the sculpted texture a bit more because there's so much contrast. So it lets you get that bushy feel and they don't end up looking like globs as much. Yeah, and that I'm having that problem with the towel just when we try to dry Kiki off after a bath and stuff. She thinks we're playing and she gets way wound up, but I don't know how else to deal with it. Toes and shoelaces, yeah, toes, yep. Yeah, with Kiki blowing into the ear or doing any of that or poofing at her eyes or anything, it's just like, no. Yep, exactly, walking harder. Yep. Puppies are a lot like human kids. Like people, I always joke that in the past I have told friends who got married and were considering having children that they should get a puppy first and see how that went because it was a good trial run. Have a lot of things in common. The happy thing about puppies, of course, is that you're only in for it for like a year, often a lot less, depending on how fast your puppy matures. But yeah, Keek's doing okay. Like I've been able to have her out for like 2 hour time slots recently, and I have been able to do my own work and not have to worry about her too much. So the nice thing about Keeks is that she will self entertain if I give her a lot of toys. And yesterday, for the first time, like before when she was out, she was just so excited at being out of her crate that she would just go, 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 go. But yesterday, for the first time, she actually stopped and she came over and laid by my feet after she had been out for a while. So essentially, I'm trying to slowly teach her that she can be calm when she's out of her crate and that she can settle when she's out of her crate, which has been like a challenge because she's got a lot of energy. So I'm going to probably get a dog bed out and put it right near where she was lying yesterday and kind of keep some treats around. And if she comes and settles there, she'll get treats. But yeah, her adult brain cell count has definitely been increasing in this last couple weeks. Yeah. Yeah, probably because you said he's a year dog father, so that'll be the terrible, the teen years. He's currently a teenager, and that's at that stage they forget all their past training, and you have to like definitely fall back on structure. But yeah, with Kiki, I've been doing mat training, so mat games. So run to your mat, sit on your mat, lie down on your mat, and you get fed treats. And you have to stay there. You can't get off your mat, or you won't get a treat, and stuff like that. I've been doing those kind of games with Kiki, and it seems to help. It's progress. She's the big thing now is pulling on walks because she can pull a little bit with David, but with my back, she really can't. And so I'm afraid that the fact that we're kind of inconsistent there because he can take a lot more pressure on the leash than I can. I'd rather she walk with only minimal pressure on the leash, if any. And I just feel like it's going to take longer to train her not to pull with me because of the inconsistency. But there's not a lot to be done about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've gotten a little better now. Things don't get as mucked up as quickly. Although I do need to wash some of her toys. But yeah. And the blankets. I wash the puppy blankets. I used to have to wash the puppy beds like once every couple days, but now it's more like around once a week. Don't worry, hang in there, Miss Dimp. You're at the terrible 3-month stage, which will be followed by the terrible 4-month stage and the teething stage, but eventually the adult brain cells, they'll come. So once again, doing little dabs and dashes. Yeah, it is, and I mean that's a puppy thing, for sure. That just like it's a kid thing, your kids are sweethearts when they're 10 and 11, and then they hit the teens and it's the terrible teens. And that's the same with dogs. Like almost all dogs go through that point in their as they're becoming mature and they're hitting those teenager years that they just they're testing again, right? They forget all their training and you have to just be firm. And some dogs are worse than others, right? I'm sure Kiki will be quite a beast because she's a little fiend. All right, so I got all those in there. Now I can paint over it. So even though it feels like you're doing like an extra step, and you are, this does save you a lot of work too, because otherwise you'd have to put at least 2 layers of green on these. And here you just put a layer of white and then 1 layer of green and you're good. And I will go through and probably do some more highlighting, but for this. Yeah, yep, because 16 weeks is your window closes. Actually, I mean, every dog's a little different, so some start a little earlier. Some have an early period. Kiki is definitely in the middle of that, all that stuff right now. She'll see a garbage bag hung on a fence that we pass by every day, and it will be enough to stop her in her tracks, you know. It's like, uh-oh, that's different. And hurting dogs being suspicious by nature anyway. There we go. That works, Calum. I find with tiny stuff, it's just slow down and take your time. I mean, yeah, it can be a lot. Nice, Shadow Raven. Yeah, it was like Armageddon. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Kiki will pass by a car and she'll catch her reflection in the side of it and it'll like make her jump. Alrighty, just block it in, make sure I've got a nice strong base coat color here. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, so if you want... Kiki will bark at things, but she likes people. She likes people on an instinctual level. And that's a Shiloh Shepherd thing. Most Shilohs. So she won't bark at people, but she will be a little like skittery about meeting strangers. She does the ping pong thing where she goes back and forth on her leash. And if they give her time, she will meet them, but it's like a lot of people just won't give you time. And it's like, well, if you don't want to hang out and wait for my dog to come to you, my dog is not on your agenda, so I guess we're not meeting you today. Just makes it hard to give her good experiences, though. It's funny how people make meeting your dog all about them. Like, there was one woman on our walk who just wouldn't listen when I suggested she wanted to just stand back and not lean over Kiki. And then she acted insulted when Kiki wouldn't meet her. And it's like, well... Yeah, when they get colds, it's weird. Like, I remember when my cats had a cold. It's always like really heart-stopping when you're furry, no matter what type of furry, when your furry is having issues and you don't know what's wrong. That's when I run to the emergency vet. Pretty soon it will be time to put a heart monitor on Kiki, which is something we do for all the puppies of our breed, at least in our organization, to try to figure out where the arrhythmia problem is in our breed. So that'll be fun. We'll have to get a monitor onto Kiki, and then she has to wear it for like 48 hours. That's nice. That's good that you could get home to get to the vet. Yep, Miss Nimp, and that's exactly what. That was Leo too. Leo was a big, floofy, 100-pound Shiloh Shepherd, and he was like heart of gold dog who loved everybody, but people would cross the street. Like Dad took him for a walk, and when we went to visit them in Arizona, and he was just like amazed that people would just cross the street instead of meeting him. It's like, that's a big dog, a big shepherdy dog. Although other big dogs also get that reaction. Breeds that have that reputation, Rottweilers, Dobermans sometimes. And then it's all just weird, right? Because during COVID, it was like people would cross the street just to avoid like walking next to each other on the sidewalk. And now it's like people are in that habit. And it made it hard to get people to meet Kiki during when she was a baby. Because people out here were still kind of being paranoid about that or had gotten into the habit of it. Oh well, we'll get through it. I was thinking about enrolling her with a more local dog trainer. There's some things I like about my class that I go to now and some things I don't. It's just a thing that happens with big dogs, Agent Marvel. I mean, a lot of people are scared of them. You don't realize it, but we brought Leo to ReaperCon one year, and there was a lady who was just like really instinctually scared of him. And, you know, it's like, it's just the way that person is. So it's nothing they can control. The dog is sad that it doesn't get to meet a person, but oh well. But yeah, I think it's almost to the point where I would be okay bringing Kiki to the ocean. We needed to get her more, allergies are kicking in. We need to get her more acclimated to just having like people and dogs and cars around. And she's gotten better. So it's almost ocean time. At least if we take her in the winter, there won't be nearly as many people there. Yeah, that makes sense, Quindy. Yeah, Mexicans are nice. So I'm not going to worry about too much under this area because the wings, and you can see the shadow that the cat is casting. So we won't highlight there very much. I did a little bit up there, but that's all I'm going to do. When I bring up the next highlight set, I'm going to not do the highlight underneath the cat dragon. And I may also take my dark green and do a little bit of a wash over there so that there's still a little bit of highlight suggestion, but it is darker under there. Yeah, I was disappointed. We were actually at Damascus. We were looking at them for an outcross, but the problem is that so many breeders have mixed wolf in. And we don't want any wolf in the Shiloh. We're not into that. And when Damascus first started, they were just Husky, Malamute, German Shepherd, which I always liked. I thought, oh, we could use that for an outcross. But yeah, we have one of our breeders has a friendship with a Damascus breeder in Alaska, I think, and she's kind of like giving us the lowdown. Some Damascus still don't have wolf, so maybe we can still use it at some point. Yeah, that's the problem with the small dog. Yep. It's like the small dog gives people the license not to train it as well because it's just a tiny little dog, but then it gets all sorts of issues. Not a lot you can do about that except to avoid them. Oh yeah, the flexi lead. That gives you no control whatsoever. Which is just pure lazy. I used to have one, but for walking my big lazy dog. But now I just use a regular leash. Yeah, the one thing I'm happy about around here, though, is that there are no loose dogs. Like back in Texas, where we lived, there were loose dogs running around. Like people would have their dogs get out of their yards and just run around. And that was a huge challenge because I had Thorn and he was a reactive dog, and I was trying to train him so that he could be manageable. And it was like totally two steps back every time a loose dog ran up to us, crazy barking its head off on the street. Funny. There are, I mean, it's possible to have a wolf dog that's not a disaster. Because, you know, they breed it in and then they breed it back to dog, right? But I don't want any wolf in my dogs, thank you. Like, people just have this, like, weird misconception that it's cool. And unfortunately, the buying public supports that. There are definitely people out there that want wolf dogs. A sizable percentage of the population that thinks that that is cool. So sadly, that's the way it is. Hey, Valandar. Yes, welcome, Raiders. But yeah, so we, my Shiloh organization anyway, we've made the decision that is zero wolf tolerance is what it's at. It gets a little weird though when you look at breeds of dogs who introduced wolf back in like the 60s, who are still breeding, who haven't introduced wolf since the 60s, but because of interbreeding, you know, different lines, they still have a high wolf content. So then it's weird, right? And breeds like that involve are like the Sarlus wolf dog and the Czechoslovaki Vlach, or Czech wolf dog as it is sometimes called. So genetically, if they do a sequence, they still find a high percentage of wolf in those dogs, and yet they haven't had actual wolf added for a very long time. So we had to have a discussion in our breed, because the Vlach is actually in our breed already, but we've tested and made sure there's no wolf content remaining from it. It's just a weird thing. Oh yeah, right, Cornico. Yeah, cats also, right? That's been a relatively recent trend in cats, right? Where the people are trying to breed them with wildcats because it's cool. You can own a wild animal, right? I just hate that. Yeah, although a lot of wolves have dog in them now. I was reading about that the other day in a genetics paper, that there have been so many domestic dogs that have gotten loose and such a large feral dog populations in various areas, including in states where wolves are, roam free, and the dogs absolutely interbreed with the wolves. So a lot of wolf populations have a significant portion of dog DNA now. They do and they don't, crows. So essentially, as dogs have become domesticated over the years, their genomes became distinct from the wild wolves. And so the dog genome is different from the wolf genome, although there are haplotypes in common. But for the most part, when you breed a wolf into dog, if you run a DNA test via UC Davis or Embark, it will come back as definitely like half wolf, half dog. Like they've had different genomes, even more so than different breeds because they've been separated for longer, right? So it's not a wash. It is a mixture of two colors that tend to be more, the Naga green covers well, but the Tianzia Jade is very translucent. So it is not a wash, Vic. It's just the normal paint that's thinned about 5 to 1. So it's actually a base coat consistency. But because it's being put over the white, it's being put over white instead of over the dark green, the ancient oak, it shows up like that. Yeah, there's a lot. And coyotes with dogs. Yep. Yeah, so. Right, exactly, Valandar. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. It did make sense to me. In some really wild areas of the world, like Carpathian Mountains, the wolves up there are still probably pretty wolfy. Mostly wolfy, almost all wolfy. But some areas, certainly the wolves here in the U.S., we have a large population of like feral dogs in various areas. So it blurs the line for sure. And it's also dangerous, right? Because, I mean, wolves have a natural fear of humans. They don't want to be around humans. But if they're mixing with dogs and they get some of those genes that make them a little able to tolerate humans close to them, then that's where humans and wolves start mixing, and not in a good way, right? Dangerous for people and dangerous for the wolves. I don't know. I can't see where it's going, but it's just like coyotes moving into urban areas and other wildlife, right? I live in an urban area. Like this is a suburb, but it's Silicon Valley for God's sakes. And we have raccoons and possums and hawks and skunks and and the squirrels, mice, and rats that you'd expect. So we've got all of these wild animals living in this like built up area, just like living in the cracks between and in the backyards that are overgrown with trees and bushes and and in the little stands of like in the parks, right? And so, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see. I think David told me he saw a fox the other day. He was biking on the bike trail, and a fox ran right out in front of him and then darted away. So we have foxes too. If we got foxes, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that we'd have coyotes somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, deer. Yeah, it's like, So I don't think we've got wolves here, but it wouldn't surprise me that we have coyotes. But yeah, humans and animals are just like brushing up against each other, and even in our urban centers. I regularly smell skunk around here, so I know they're out there. It's why I always try to check the backyard before I let Kiki out. Especially because we don't have big bright lights that I can turn on. In my old house in Texas, I had big bright lights, so I could turn on the light and I knew that any creature that was around that probably was, you know, skittering toward the back fence or going under it. Yeah, yeah, in our, exactly. Yeah, donkeys are good flock protectors. I have a friend who has donkeys up north in Canada. Yep. Oh, wow. Armadillos, yep. Yeah. Well, the animals have to go somewhere. When I first lived in Denton, it had a lot of country area still in it, a lot of rural area still in it. By the time I moved out of Denton, like so many places, so many stands of like trees had been just mowed over for parking lots and more banks and stores. Made me sad. And then the poor animals have to adjust. Alrighty, so we've got that first layer on, and now we can think about doing a second layer. But it looks nice and bushy, so that's good. Yeah, unless you've got a dog, then it's harmless. But then you're in for all that work of trying to get the stench out of your dog and your house and yourself. Like, yeah. The one wild animal I have absolutely seen in our yard is the possum. Possum that was hanging out. It almost walked into my foot. All right, let's see here. I think I want to do a little bit of yellow in my highlight. I think I'm going to use my yellow mold from Bones because it's a very greenish yellow. So I'm going to take 2 brushfuls. I'm going to take 2 brushfuls of my green here. 2 big ones. There's 1. There's 2. And put 1 drop of this yellow mold in. Yellow mold has white in it and it has yellow. The green phase yellow. Yeah, we have raccoons, but I haven't seen one in our yard. I have a picture, or had a picture of when we had a lot of rain recently. They must live down in the storm drains because there were 2 of them just kind of hovering around one of the storm drains, like, and one kept trying to go down in there and then just backing out because it was so full of water. Yeah, the baby possum in our yard was very adorable. It was very alarmed that it almost ran into my foot once it noticed. And we definitely have slugs for them to eat. I found a slug in the front yard, actually. The other day I was watering the orange tree. Nice fat one. I'm sure with all the mulch and stuff around here where people don't like to have grass, they prefer to have more drought-friendly yards. So there's bound to be tons of slugs. Oof, yeah, no bears here. Yeah. I kind of want to put a big light out in our backyard, Dogfather. You have too many slugs. You need more possums. Okay, so this is the color that I mixed, and it's a little bit warmer, and it should cover okay because it's got the white in the yellow mold. So I'm going to try to just highlight the boughs just with the edges of the boughs with just a little bit of this. It's really close to pale green 9012, maybe a little bit cooler because I wanted this to be more like a blue spruce. So Yeah, I haven't seen any hedgehogs, but it wouldn't surprise me if you had hedgehogs here. So we're going to test a little bit here. It may not actually be bright enough, this highlight. I need to take it up a little bit more. Because since I put the green over white, it's definitely lighter looking than it would normally be. So that it looks like I need to highlight a little. My little highlights aren't really showing up at all. So I do need to add a little bit more yellow mold to this green. Oh my gosh, Inara. That's interesting. Slugs love beer. That's really funny. So knock this, punch this color up a level and see if I can see the highlights. It is definitely a gray day out today. Kiki and I won't be having quite as pretty of a walk as we have had recently. So we are starting to get our trees around here bare. I know it's December, but we still have fall leaves in the South Bay. I don't think I want to put out beer then, because then the slugs will die and the possums won't get them. I would like our baby possum to have some food. All right. Oh yeah, that's a better highlight. So now I can put just a little bit of this at the edges so you can see how that brings that out. It's just a little bit of extra pop at the edges of the boughs. Yeah, I guess if you have too many slugs and you don't have enough possums, that slug beer would be the way to go. Possums and hedgehogs. I wonder if you can just import some hedgehogs. Yes, definitely some allergies out there. My eyeballs are a bit itchy here. Oh, snake habitat. Wow. Yeah, I guess that works, Thormel. Oh, alligator problems. Oh, yeah. Oh, neat. Yeah, we've been waiting for the new season of Critical Role. little bit of extra highlight. Nice. I'm not sure of Polish muzzle. It's nothing that like I follow avidly. So I'm not sure when they've changed the out date so many times with Critical Role. Yeah, that's how it worked in Texas too. We got a lot of little baby garter and grass snakes when we let our grass get too tall. And we did have a copperhead one year, which was the one time I was glad I was taking my reactive dog out when that sucker popped up in the yard. Because Leah would have just been like, hello, friend. So I was glad I had the dog that had the natural instinctive reaction to get away from that thing. January 2023. Thanks, Big Isler. Critical Role is a huge investment of time. Like the fact that if you listen to it, the show, like it's like 2 or 3. Every episode is between 2 and 4 hours, and there's a lot of episodes. So if you binge stuff, I actually watch it on YouTube a little bit here and there because sometimes there's just like there's physical gags too. So. It's rare. I think most of it you can appreciate just listening to the podcast version. Yeah. Yeah, definitely start with Fox Machina then. The first campaign, I would say. That's the one that's in the animated series, or parts, and an adaptation of it is. But it's the original characters. I'm kind of listening to campaign 3 right now and enjoying it. It's definitely the case though, and you guys know this is true, but when you first start a new D&D group, everybody plays like vanilla. Like everybody's just playing your half elf or your half orc or your halfling and your human. Then as the next campaign comes around, suddenly everybody's playing Dragonborn and air Genasi and all that. And then in campaign 3 of Critical Role, I think we've really hit critical mass because we have a freaking robot. It's like they're totally getting the whole, like, when we started this game, we were all playing relatively normal races. Now we're all bored. Yeah, Skip, I don't know. I mean, there was some fun stuff with with Tiberius, but yeah, in general, if you just start with the vampire and the necromancer, Briarwoods. If you start with the Briarwoods stuff, that's the fun part. That starts the really fun part. So just little bits to just bring out my foliage just a tad more so that it shows up and it's all nice and happy and bushy. So for those who, yeah, if you're unfamiliar, Tiberius was a dragonborn character that the player had to quit the game. So, and he was a bit much. You're right, guys. Nobody, well, okay, some people missed him. Some people did miss him. But yeah, it's in general, I think the Briarwoods is just a better campaign arc. Yeah, you could also, what I chose to do actually was to just watch the guide that I looked at said just watch the animated series and then start with like episode 37 of the podcast or YouTube. So that's what I did, except that actually I found that after I had watched the animated series, I really wanted to see how the games had actually gone down. So I went back and watched all the Critical Role YouTube for the Briarwoods as well, just to see. It was kind of, I always think it's kind of cool how stuff gets adapted, so it was funny to see the stuff that stayed in and the stuff that was totally different. There was a lot of stuff that was totally different. But it makes sense it would have to be because you've got, 3 or 4 hour game sessions and you've got a number of them and you have to like shrink that down to 25-minute or half hour 12 episodes. So you have like 40 or 50 hours of gaming that you have to put down into, or more, that you have to shrink down into 6 hours. Yeah, I watched just a little bit of stuff before the Briarwoods, but then I switched to just watching the Briarwoods, and then now we'll continue after that. Although I haven't had a lot of time to listen to Critical Role lately, I've been doing some other stuff to listen to. I do kind of like how the way Campaign 3 is starting out, though. I like the characters. I skipped over Campaign 2 entirely. But I'll get back to it maybe. Okay, got some nice highlights on our tree. We're almost done with stream. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually take my ancient oak and I'm going to shade a little bit. I'm going to look at where my shadows fall because the dragon cat's wings are up there. And I'm going to put a little bit of a wash up there just to accentuate a little bit of shading underneath the wings here on the tree. I decided to do all the highlights up because then I have something to take down with the shadows. So grab a bit of my ancient oak, about a brush full, about 1 drop. Find my brush on sealer. It's okay, Pendrake. All you missed was a lot of foliage. And a lot of talk about wildlife encroachment in like residential areas and how demonic puppies can get between the ages of 3 months and 1 year. And also that slugs get drunk. All right, so we mixed up a bit of a wash. You can see that it's falling off the sides of the palette here, so it's semi-transparent. I didn't want to make it too transparent because I do want it to impact the foliage up here and give us a little bit of a shadow. It may be not dark enough. We'll see. I'm going to grab a brush full of it and just I want to darken down a little bit of the area that's right around the cat, right around those wings. And my highlights should still show through because it is a wash, but hopefully I can get it darkened down just a little bit around the kitty cat. I may need to put a couple of layers of wash on for that to happen. Mostly here it's like right this area right under the wing. Excellent, Butts, excellent. Yeah, some puppies are not as, you know, they don't go through that phase when they hit, it depends on the breed, right, where they hit a year and get kind of dorky, and then you have to be more consistent again with your rules. But some of them definitely do. I suspect Kiki will. She's just that way. And then a little bit more back here, and we'll get that a little bit down. So now we have a little bit darker and a little bit darker. You can see that it's a little bit darker right up under the cat. So that's what I wanted. That's about right. Yeah, you definitely want to get some pest people to come and take care of that, Pendrake. Although, if they got in, then it's probable it would involve a big repair, so I could see not being able to act on that right away. Well, my mixing brush is almost dead. I'm going to have to get a new mixing brush. Need to order a cheapo brush. Yeah, but you know what? If they hunted them, then more wildlife would just get in probably. So when we got our house, we had a pest control guy come out, and he was really meticulous in checking like all of the openings anywhere that anything could get in. And we got a gold star. All of our doors were flush. All of our, you know, everything was tight enough that not even a mouse could sneak in. All right. And got our rear of our tree all nice and fluffy. Everything's looking okay. I need to hit these, I think, right here. But yeah. Sadly, Twisted Oma keeps wanting to see the cat in the Christmas tree, but I don't think they made it today. Happily, it'll be on VOD. Oh, you did make it. Okay. I didn't see you in chat at all, so... Okay, I'm going to darken down a little bit there by the paws. There's more than 12 Christmas minis. They just do a rotation. Okay. So the dragon cats will be released, but not as a set. Yeah. So you can buy. That's fine. I'd rather pick and choose. I own some. I don't own others. Uh-oh. Got a little bit of green on my kitty. There. Alrighty. I think we've got a nice bushy Christmas tree now. And I kept it a little bit of a colder green, which is kind of what I wanted. Didn't want to take it real warm for once. Wanted more of a blue spruce kind of feel. Ah, you'll be able to order the 12 days figures individually, but probably only in the month of December. Got it. This is kind of a smooth kitty, so you could paint this kitty either way. Does not have a lot of scales. I kind of like that it doesn't have scales because it lets me do markings. I'm probably going to do a Siamese kitty on this one, I think, but I'm not sure. I might change my mind. I'm going to see how the rest of the tree looks and make my mind up. Yeah, it looks like they'll release them just like you say, Dogfather. Quindy just said they'll be released individually after the promotion. No problem, Tostinoma. I'm glad you got to make it since you wanted to see the kitty. Oh, I hear it. Speaking of kitties and puppies and everything squirrely, currently there is a puppy being squirrely in her crate. She's like, it is 11:05. Yeah, allergies suck. Alrighty. So there. So we will pull that. We'll just say our tree is good. And tomorrow is Friday. And tomorrow we're doing a Quindy and going back to Halloween. Remember we were adding all those green tones on our basing here. It's really actually coming up really nicely. I really like it. We need to do the tombstone and the Skelecat. And then we need to add basing materials. So I definitely want to do some green and some mold on the tombstone, add some green tones back here, and do some highlights on the stonework, maybe some cracks. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. And then I'll probably, with the kitty cat here, because I've got a pretty nice zenith on it, I'll probably take a dark brown and actually maybe brown liner, do a brown liner wash, and then do a highlight on the kitty. Because the bones are really well sculpted, so doing a liner wash will let me get all those little places without having to individually paint them. Oh, okay. I can do that. Thanks, Quindy. I'll put it open on my thing so that I can see it. Ah, yeah. Cool. Oh no, I got a chipped ear. I'm going to have to touch that up on Kitty. So yeah, so this is what we're going to do today or tomorrow. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this little tableau is coming out. I think it's cute. It's neat. So I can't wait to get the tombstone and the kitty painted up, and then we can think about some basing materials. Okie dokie. Yeah, I've got allergies, not headaches, but I feel the pain. Yeah, it's bad. Headaches are so annoying because you just don't want to do anything. Yeah, oh, I'm so jealous now. I so want to make cookies, but it's going to have to wait till the weekends. Yep. Thank you, guys. Okay, kitty Christmas tree, and tomorrow is another kitty. We've got double kitty at the end of this week. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will talk to you again later. Okay, bye-bye.